Bang.
Bang.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang, chicken and shrimp. It's my favorite dish.
Where? Panda?
Not at Panda. That's at the Cheesecake Factory. Actually, it's my wife's favorite dish. She eats the shrimp, I eat the chicken.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. With a
Peas
little
and
bang, bang on the side.
Nice, very cool.
Terrible.
Today we have a I was going to say money bags, but a mailbag episode. We had a question coming in from a junior incoming senior in college. Her name was well, I'll keep that disclosed.
Yeah, that might be good.
But a question that she had, she and her brother were really, really appreciative of everything that her parents had done. And one of the questions that she asked me was, how can I help my mom prepare for retirement? Because her mom had no savings.
Yep.
Her mom really poured everything into her kids. So,
Sure.
the student said, hey, I really want to help. How can we do that? So today we are answering that question and really looking to expand what's possible and have you consider things to take on to really be able to retire your parents or at least support them.
Very nice.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some crazy statistics behind this that we have to share because I think it'll kind of blow your mind.
Yeah.
In terms of how woefully unprepared people are for retirement. The GoBankingRates.com did a survey, and in this survey they found that 57% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings accounts. That the majority of them actually had money in home equity but did not have it in retirement savings. And in fact, the majority of people surveyed said their goal was to get to 100,000 in retirement savings. And then you extrapolate, some of these folks may have 30 years in retirement.
Yep.
$100,000 goes like that, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, to even consider inflation.
Right.
Where things are going to increase over time. So if inflation's at 3%, use the rule of 72, you might need 3 times as much as you think you do.
Is that how much you would need?
Close to.
I thought you were doing head math there for a second.
Yeah.
Along those lines, the Stanford Center for Longevity found that 1/3 of baby boomers, 1/3 of them, and this was now the second largest generation, right? Because baby boomers were first and then millennials took over. So, but there's, of the 80 million, let's say there's 25 million baby boomers that have zero saved.
Yeah.
Zero saved. 1/3 of them have zero saved, and the average age is 58 years old.
Yeah.
It's just frightening.
It is very frightening. When I was when I used to be a financial planner and we would give different workshops at different companies, there were people in this generation, and I would talk to them and they would say, I have nothing. Yeah. And I would just sit there and literally take a moment to myself and be like, wow, I don't know how to help you. Like, time is not necessarily on your side. It's going to take something.
Not your friend right now.
It is not your friend. So kind of sidebar, but for those of you listening who are in college and high school, young professionals, like, kudos on you for being able to listen to these conversations.
No doubt. Well, and I think the other thing to point out is that when someone gets to an older age, middle age or near retirement age, if they don't have enough, then they have to take either massive risk to get there, or they have to scale way, way, way back on their lifestyle. And for most people at an advanced age, they're not willing to take risks. So it's hard to play catch up. So for those of you that are in the pursuit of mastery, hopefully you've heard many of the other videos that we've done or podcasts that we've done that talk about getting started super early and the power of compound interest and really focusing and being intentional about what future you needs and, sacrificing a little bit today so that future you is well prepared. Yeah. Cool. So for those for the young people, I want to know, why aren't these conversations happening?
Why aren't these conversations happening? Particularly how to help your parents retire, right? So there are a couple of reasons why they're not happening. Really, and it, by the way, really comes down to the behavioral aspect to it. So let's address those. First one being guilt. So there's guilt associated with having this conversation, particularly for the student. I know that her mom felt guilty because she had not done anything.
Right.
So for the daughter to be able to approach this, there's a whole world there. And same on the other side too. I know that there are, fortunately not for me, but I know that there are parents who are expecting their kids to help them with their retirement, and there are kids who would feel guilty if they did not.
Right.
So there's the guilt conversation from both ways. The second one could be poor health. Third one being it's an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
So a combination of these things: the guilt, poor health, and the conversation about money. Money's already taboo, let alone mix that with your family,
right?
Someone who raised you or you were raised by, is different. And then with poor health, please add anything, but I would assume that with poor health, you don't necessarily know how long someone may live if they're dealing with something, and what that's going to look like. Medical bills can be extremely expensive with poor health, so
no doubt,
it can be very expensive.
And the cost of long-term care and all those things are crazy high.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we have 5 steps that we want you to take, and this is how you can begin to help your parents who are nearing or in retirement age. Number 1 is definitely have the retirement conversation, and what this looks like is asking about what are expenses? How do you see life progressing in retirement? Are you going to live in the same house? Do you want to travel?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to need help? Those kinds of things are all critical, as well as asking what kind of assets do you have, and really digging into that. It may be an uncomfortable discussion, but it's one that absolutely needs to be had.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Number two, retirement.
Really looking at assets or retirement income. So really, in looking at, the conversation is like, hey, look, mom and dad, or I really want to be able to support you. What currently do you have as assets for retirement income? Whether it's from a 401k, a pension, investment accounts, we need to know, or if you were my dad, I would need to know what you currently have so I could see if there's any gaps to be.
I'm not telling you that. It's none of your business.
And I love you, and I know this is uncomfortable, but this is the reason why.
Give me a beer. The other thing we need to talk about are things like, when are you going to take Social Security? So a family member that is about to retire that's 62 or 65 or 67, they have the option of taking Social Security, and that could make a massive difference in their lifestyle and their living expenses and so on and so forth, as well as waiting until later, like a full retirement age of 67 and a half, which will eventually be 70 or 72 probably for some of us out there. So know that is this guy. That is one of the things you should talk about in assessing retirement income. That's number 2. Number 3 is the possibility of downsizing. So if the family home is still in play, maybe it's time to get a family condo, right? Maybe mom and dad don't need a 4-bedroom home in a gated community. Maybe they need a 1 or 2 bedroom condo, or maybe they need an apartment, to be quite honest, because they don't need the hassle of ownership. They just need to be able to pay rent, lock it and leave it, that kind of thing. So let's have the downsize discussion.
Yeah, and if I may add, maybe they need a tiny home. Maybe that's just appropriate.
Yes. Maybe they need a granny flat.
You'll have to watch the previous episode.
Yes. Hashtag granny flat.
Hashtag granny flat. So the fourth, or anything else around the downsizing?
No, that's it.
Yeah, and by the way, downsizing might not just be the house, but also in the lifestyle experiences. Downsizing that too.
Yep.
The fourth one is the fourth step is to really enroll siblings. So if you do have siblings, like I do, I'd be enrolling my brother and my sister to be able to be like, hey, I'm not doing this all by myself.
Yeah.
My parents raised you too.
Indeed.
And enrolling your siblings to be able to support. And if you don't have siblings, and if you're an only child, you could also really look at looking at your friends who may also want to be doing this for their parents, and kind of having that camaraderie and community in that way.
Yeah. I would add to that if $300 makes a big difference to your parent, right, in terms of their monthly expenses, for one person that may be hard to do. But if you have 2 or 3 siblings and you divide that up, that may be more reasonable to help cover some of mom and dad's expenses.
Yep.
So consider enrolling your siblings. And last but not least is to examine the spending habits of your parents. Now, here's what we know. Habits are a hard thing to break, right?
Yeah.
Nick has this terrible habit of eating 3 times a day. It's really hard to break him of it. And so your parents have financial spending habits. So as an example, mine, they love coffee and they will hit Starbucks on the regular. And I know that if they were at a point in time where money was tight and we had to look at their lifestyle, I'd say, well, let's start with $125 a month you're spending at Starbucks, right? Or whatever the number is. So we need to examine spending habits of our parents sometimes to see, are there errant expenses in their budget that they don't know about, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. So lots of different ways to help.
And all of these are ideas in response to the student's question, because originally the first thing that she asked was, how do I open up a retirement account? Right now, these are alternative ways to really support your parents in retiring them, because for me as well, one thing that I do not necessarily like about the stock market is it's based on a lot of different external factors, right? Based on the economy, trade, politics, laws, etc. I would feel much more comfortable knowing that my $300 a month is going towards my parents' cell phone bill, or covering the basics for food, or gas and utility, versus putting it into an investment account that may not be there a year from now, 2 years from now. So the other thing that I'll just say briefly is, if you can't open up an account for your parents, like in a retirement account, but if they do have one, you can always gift money, $300, and then they can, end up investing. But I don't know, for me, I think this is my personal opinion in 2 cents, but I think there's a lot of meaning associated with this money is specifically for all your lunches.
Yep.
And I know that would make my parents happy every time they go to lunch. They're like, yep, this is on Nick.
Nick's lunch fund. Just my last editorial comment on this topic is, I think what we are going to see over the next few years is more and more homes that are built with an additional property or an additional room or apartment, if you will, tacked on. We'll see a lot more families moving in together, where there'll be more nuclear families because of the sheer number of baby boomers that don't have retirement savings. So, I hope that you love your folks or your in-laws, because they may come live with you soon. So chew on that.
Yeah.
Good.
We talk about boomerang kids for millennials. It's boomerang parents.
Boomerang parents. Yeah. They may come back to haunt you. Indeed. Now go make me a pot pie, boy.
Where's the bird?
We'll see you on the next episode. Peace out.